I called this, He Calls Me Dancer. What does He call you? So this is part of my story. I really struggled to figure out which part to share with you because I feel like I've been walking with God for like close to 20 years, and there's been many rescues and many, valleys and hills and many miraculous things, and I was like, what do I share? I felt overwhelmed, and I struggled all week until I just I just need to pick something. So this is kind of like the beginning of my walk with God. Although as a child, I had some encounters with Jesus, but then, in my teenage years, I didn't grow up in a Christian home, so my mom was Catholic, so she taught us the Our Father, but we didn't go to church. So, drifted away in my teenage years and found a different God. His name was Serge. But I was a competitive athlete. I was a synchronized swimmer. Yeah, you probably are wondering who does that kind of sport. Me. People who like to torture themselves and not breathe. Yeah, that was me. And I was really deep into it. That's all I did. I would wake up, go to the pool at 6 a.m, train, go to school, train again, and that's all I did. And I had no life, really. So it was my parents thought it kept me busy and out of trouble, but it keeps you very distracted from what's really going on inside. So when I was 16, my team went to nationals, and that was my dream, and I got injured and I couldn't go, and I was devastated. And I went through a big depression. For a while, all I can remember is crying for months. I'm like, who has that much water to pour out? I don't know. But, and then I met this great guy. I fell in love, and he became my new obsession. And he was a dancer, so I started dancing, and that was really healing for me. I think God really used that in my life to bring a lot of healing. He was a great guy. But then I got really clingy, and I was so scared to lose him that I was willing to do whatever. And, when we slept together, I knew it was wrong. Deep in my core, I was like, what am I doing? I shouldn't be doing this. But the thought of losing him was so much fear that I was like, well, if this is going to keep me with him, this is what I need to do, and everyone's doing it. They just tell you, put a condom on. There's no talk about waiting for marriage is an option. No, in high school, it's just everyone's having sex, so go ahead. Until, anyways. So I'm with this guy, I moved to Toronto. I practiced this, and it was 15 minutes, so I'm gonna do my best. I moved to Toronto, and I realized, after living with this guy, and he was going for his dreams, and I was just working a dead-end job, working 2 dead-end jobs just to be with him. And after a while, it's kind of dawned on me. I was like, what am I doing? I'm so young, this is not going anywhere. And although the thought of losing him was super terrifying, it's I knew deep down that's what I needed to do. And that day, I was 21, almost 21, and that day I lied on the couch, and I just had realized that he didn't love me. That was the big thing, because he would just it became clear that he was not in love with me. So I prayed for the first time in years. I was like, God, if you are real, hello, I'm sorry. I really, really, really need you right now. So that was kind of the beginning of reconnecting with God and asking him for his help in my life. I had really lost myself. I didn't know who I was. I was very numb. But thankfully, I was accepted into dance school in Ottawa, so moved back. That kept me focused, and brought a lot of healing through dance. But I, quickly went into rebound and started just dating the next guy, but always comparing him to the previous guy, and just guy after guy. And my face was ridden with acne, and I was just desperate for love. Whoever wanted to love me, I'm here. Love me, love me, love me. And I felt, thanks. Yeah, and if you like, I'm in dance school to be a professional dancer, and all you do is like you stare at mirrors the whole day. And here I am feeling really like unworthy and ugly, and all I can see is like I hate myself and full of acne, and it became really painful. And I had a friend at the time who was like, "Hey, I am going on a trip to Europe. Why don't you join me?" So I ended up quitting dance school, and I was seeking, like I was already kind of seeking God. I had a friend who had to become a Christian, and I like saw the transformation in her life, and I was like, oh wow, like I want that too. And so we started to plan this trip, and so many miracles were happening, like provision, like the right doors opening, and I was just seeing like this unfold, and I'm like, okay, clearly there is a God out there. And so this whole trip was like about seeking God, but yet I was like, in this perpetual state of lust and relationships and rebound still, and sleeping with people, and really I didn't know I was just looking for love, and I didn't know what unconditional love was. I think, looking back, I always felt like I had to perform and please even my dad, always perform and walking on eggshells, and it's not like, he had an alcoholic dad and he came with his own baggage, but my dad loved me, but for some reason I didn't know that. I didn't feel that. So I go on this trip, and what happens then? I hit a breaking point. I'm in Spain. I have this one night stand with this guy, and then I quickly realize he turns around and he's like with my friend, and I'm like, what am I doing? And I just hit a really like low point in my life and felt really numb. And then the next day I was like, okay, I need to do something. So I went for a run in the forest, and I ran. I was just trying to feel something, feel alive again. And I ran until I couldn't run anymore, and I like fell to the ground, broke down, started weeping until like nothing, just like silence. And then I heard a voice say to me, "Don't you know you are worth more than this?" And I can't explain it, but I'm sure some of you have had that experience where like that it's God speaking to you, and it changes everything. And for me, it was really like a brain surgery, heart surgery in one instant of my life, where like, when Jesus says to the paralytic man, like, get up and walk, like, we're done here. Like, you need to just, you need to be who you really are enough. And in that moment, like, things didn't go perfect right away. Obviously, I had to walk it out. But honestly, it was like all of a sudden, this lust like did not have as much of a hold on me. It's like I had this new strength where I was like, hey, God told me I was worth more than this. I need to wait. I need to and I started just seeking him more. Went back to France. This was an 8-month trip in Europe. I had a French visa, so went back to France to work. And I will try my best. And in Paris, it's like I don't know if anyone's been to Paris. You have? Europe. Okay, well, it's different when you go on a trip versus living there, where you really like see the light and the darkness. It's really, really dark, and I saw demon-possessed people, and like it's very oppressive, the climate there. Like no one's smiling. It's very stressful. So like I was very aware of the light and the darkness. It was really in my face. So I was like, I kept seeking God. I went to this church, the American church in Paris. I met these missionaries. They were Taiwanese missionaries from a Korean church, and they invited me for sushi, and anyways, I ended up it was like a lot of warfare in my life at that point. Like just things were not working out, and just all the things were happening to me, losing money, this, that. And I had lost their number. I couldn't get in touch with them. But finally, a few weeks later, I go to this sushi Korean church party, and they welcome me like I'm royalty. And I was like, wow, like the hospitality, like I had never experienced, just like such warm, loving people. Like I was a stranger really, and they just like really opened their arms, and like I felt the love of God through them. I just had never seen such joy and such hope. And so I clung to them for dear life, because I was really, really lost. I had been on this, path of destruction for a long time. And I was like, okay, I want to walk this, the narrow road of that leads to life. And so I clung to them and found out, so this one girl that I kind of connected with that night, her name was Joanne. I just remembered this recently. And it was like an attraction in the spirit. And then she took me under her wing. She started teaching me clarinet, teaching me the Bible. And then a few weeks later, she's like, oh, you're a dancer? And I was like, yeah, I left dance school to come on this trip. And she's like, and then her friend goes Joanne has been on her knees for 100 days to pray to see a dancer encounter God. And I don't know if you know Korean people, Asian people, they pray they're prayer warriors. They're up at 5 praying and all through the night praying sometimes. And the day we met was her last day of her 100 days of prayer for a dancer. And that really it didn't hit me as hard in the moment. It was more a year later, God was like, remember that. He calls me dancer. And so when I came back to Canada, I started a dance ministry. And God has always kind of brought me back to this place where it's we were talking earlier about being creative. It's so important. We were created in God's image to be creative. And so that's what I wanted to share, just God's amazing love and how he pulls us in. And what is he calling you? What does he call you? That's my question for you.